What is up? I am here with CJ Hody of Murder the Mood fame, my good friend, my bandmate in Murder the Mood,
Brother in
uh,
arms.
brother in arms,
Yeah.
and one of the my closest, dearest people in my life. So I usually say I would describe y'all's sound, but I would describe the stuff that I do with you as
Yeah.
it's hard to pin down, but like riffy,
It's
alternative
very
music's
riff
usually
laden.
what
Riff
I kind
laden.
of say.
Yeah.
Dan describes this as a rock and roll emo band, which I know you hate. Um, I would say that,
There's worse things. We could be like a disco, you know, palooza of rock, or we could be described as something truly terrible like neo country. So I really feel like the you know, um I think the description from Dan is fine. I think he's just got a limited pea-sized brain. So, we get what we
Yeah.
get.
I feel like sometimes we have almost like the riffs and the ambitious songwriting of like one of those more like progressive emo bands like Coheed.
Yeah.
But it's
Oh yeah.
also like not kind of that brainy, if it makes any sense. Like it doesn't feel like it's
No, we're not smart.
no,
We don't write smart music. We're
it's
writing really bad music that
well,
Coheed
it's
would
more
probably just
visceral, you know.
throw
It's
out.
like energy vibes, you know. I'm not saying that, you know. Well, yeah, we're kind of all some level of brain dead. So I guess I would say, how
Yeah.
would you briefly describe the sound of Murder the Mood if someone, you know, you met someone at a work conference and there's like, hey, you play in a band? What does it sound like?
I would say that if you, go pulling from the roots of my true loves, right? Like I have always aspired and written like I wanted to be in My Chemical Romance. Um, I'm not, sadly. So I think that our music ends up coming out as more of a alternative rock. We have some hints of screamo, and we've got enough riffs to keep you fed for days.
Nice. So, what song, if you would have to point someone to one? I know we put out an album last year, Perks of Losing Sleep. And if you had to point to one song from that record that's like, hey, this is the Get to Know Murder the Mood song, what would you pick?
A Cavalier, and as a close second, I'd probably do State of Emergency just because I love it so damn much.
Yeah, I think those two are, you know, kind of a good pairing.
Yeah.
And so I guess what I'm saying is when you recommend both, what do you think you get in Cavalier that State of Emergency doesn't have and vice versa?
Well, I think State of Emergency shows more of the the punk riffy side that we aspire to. I think it's faster. It's what you would enjoy. We played at that tempo or faster. So I think that it embodies that side of the band, my left side of the brain that is you. I think State of Emergency embodies that. The right side of my brain, uh, Cavalier is much more me. I think it's got um, some more melodic tones to it. I think that it's too long. I think it's got a fantastic solo in it, which I'm incredibly proud of. And then it's got your bass is like tripping all over the whole song. So it's oozing us, but I think that it's at probably it's longer than you would like, and I think that it's also probably not as fast as you would like.
I
So
actually love a long song.
fast and short. That's you.
Yeah, I
Two
just
T,
would
right?
love a
That's what you
fast
said last
song.
night.
Um, right. One other thing I would say is I feel like if you know for if anyone's watching who's a fan of like what we do in Kyle Lewis is a boring name, I would say very similarly, Murder the Mood. Yes, I was gonna get there.
Okay.
Is like ambitious but always playful or fun. It's a little bit like darker or broodier than what I think we do in Kyle Lewis is a boring name, but I think similarly kind of
Yeah.
goes for a lot of different moments happening in any given song. Tries to go for big arrival spots, and then we also have kind of an attention to detail. Yeah, and I just really love that about our sound, and
Yeah.
I would love to hear kind of because I know I have opinions on it, but how would you describe sort of the difference between the recorded Murder the Mood songs versus the live band? Because I feel like we have, you know,
Two
compelling
different
versions of both,
personalities.
but they have very different personalities. Yeah.
I would love to get in a world where our studio sessions came to life in maybe a more true to the album level. I think that would be really cool, but I also think it would lose something. It would lose spontaneity, it would lose room, it would lose dynamic. So I think if you go and you listen to a Murder the Mood track, and I send you one, I'm almost like, this is the songs we wrote. But if you want to come for an experience and kind of a loving brotherhood with some fun jams, the live version of Murder the Mood is probably more for you. And I remember this is stuck in my head for forever, and you just played with her. So Tiny Banshee, a few years ago, we were playing a show together in her former band, and she comes up to me after the show and she goes, "Oh my God, you guys sound so much better live than you do on your singles or albums or whatever we had at the time." She's like, it doesn't do it justice. It doesn't sound the same. I was worried that it would be more melodramatic live, and the live version was much more fun and spontaneous and engaging. And I was like, how do I transition? How do we as a band take that desire of the live feel and put it into, the crock pot that is a recorded song, without distilling away the energy?
Yeah.
And it's really hard because I'm a perfectionist. I want to cut out the noise. I want to cut the squeaks. I want to, have the hard stops. I want to have all these things just so cookie cutter. But when we have started, and I think you've done a lot of this for me, when we have started to write music that could be translated live, and we started to write music together in the studio, I think we allowed some imperfections to exist that are starting to get closer to that eclipse.
Yeah. I think it's a tough problem because I've described the Murder the Mood live sound as having like teeth. It's got fangs, and it's very, I think we're in general very fun, and it's got like punk energy almost. But it has the same problem that like some of the older punk bands have, or like, for example, I think a record that does a great job of this is if you've heard the album Get Fucked by the Chats. It's got this like brash fuck you energy, and it feels like punk. And then you go and see them live and they're like, it's fast. And then they're like, all right, that was that one. Next song is about blah, blah, blah. And they're from Australia.
I think you sent me that album. Yeah. And you were like, you would totally love this. And I listened to it. I was like, this is the strangest experience of punk I think I've ever had.
I think it's so fun. But I think that like that album does what I think it's really hard to capture in general about punk. Or I like, there's another group, Otoboke Beaver from Japan. I'm probably saying that first name wrong, but they're like a Japanese like noise punk group.
I think it's pronounced Tamagotchi.
No, come on.
Okay.
And so they have such good like visceral live energy, and that really comes off in the recordings. I think that like our recordings are way more like almost theatrical, Micam, like polished, kind of high textures and energy and stuff like that. And our live sound is very much so, almost, even though it doesn't sound like punk music. We're not playing fast. We're not playing a lot of simple stuff. We kind of do a lot more like riffs and dynamics. It's got some of that like toothy. Just on the like, it's like watching someone juggle. Like it feels like it's gonna fall apart, but it doesn't. And that's something I really love about.
Sometimes it falls apart.
Hey, we get on the rails.
I mean, sometimes.
Yeah. So I love that about our playing together, and I love playing in Murder the Mood for that reason. It just feels like we really come in and bring energy, which is my big thing.
All right, so Hush, it's my turn.
Okay,
so tell me about, so when you started Kyle Lewis's Boring Name, I know kind of the roots just due to our friendship, of course, of where some of the music started, and a lot of the songs have been around for a lot longer than you would think before they became the band versions get released. What's something that's been created after the spark of Kyle Lewis's Boring Name actually took fire? So are there any songs that were not sitting in the hopper ready to go that you have created with the band in mind?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for those who don't know me as well as CJ does, some of the songs from Kyle Lewis's A Boring Name that we're gigging now, and even that we're recording for our album, I mean, the oldest one, I think I wrote in like senior year of high school. And I've just had it sitting in my pocket for a while. It didn't feel right for my college band, and they never really bid on it. And then I had another track that we actually played once acoustically, That song, "Pardon Me, Ma'am," that's in our live set right now. That's got the big breakdown at the end and the hard guitar
Pardon
solo.
me, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I wrote that my freshman year of college, and I even played it acoustically with my old band, and then we just never like fleshed it out. We kind of broke up before we got that song together. Yeah, so I've had some of those songs for a while, and not in their current forms, obviously. But yeah, so Modern Economics actually is. I wrote it maybe like 2 months before the song came out, or 3 months before the song came out. Like it. I had kind of the idea to do the like, hey, let's compare prices of things to coffee, and I thought that'll be funny, and I can make it kind of a cynical. Like some of these like post-punk bands that are kind of like talky. I've always liked "Admit It" by Say Anything, which is a very like cynical, talky song, and then I'm really into Cheek Face, which is this like it's post-punk, but if it was cake type band. And
Yep.
so I wanted to make a song like that, and it hit my brain so hard that I was like, I needed a single to kind of keep. I was on the new song every 2 to 3 months kind of thing at the time, and I just needed something to slot that. And I was like, I don't want to record one of my old ones. I just have to do this right now.
It's great.
Yeah, and it's been really well received. I think the live favorite. All my like musician friends are like, "This is your best track. You should do more stuff like this."
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I'll
to,
concur
but
with that.
it's
I'll
not the one
concur.
that gets the most streams either, which is confusing. That like, I agree, and so we kind of keep thinking the more we play it live, the more people are going to fall in love with that one.
Yeah. That's excellent.
The other thing is that we're working on a new one now that I'm hoping we'll have gigging by the end of the year, if not later, that I wrote a demo for like last month, and we had already picked out the songs for the album more or less, and then the group was like, no, this has to go on there. And it's just got some similar vibes. It's got kind of like talky verses that are like funny and jaded, and but it's got like a Motion City soundtrack chorus, and a section I describe in the bridge is like a pop punk hoedown. It's very odd. But you know me, that's how my brain.
Yeah, very odd.
So
Interesting.
yeah.
So now that you're like gigging and finally putting this music in front of everyone, what is like you and I have been playing together for many years. You've had some other bands.
Mhm.
What's a new challenge that has presented itself in your new band that you didn't have before?
Yeah.
Other than the costume choices.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we're still trying to nail down this aesthetic look. I've got another dumb outfit that I'm gonna try for this upcoming Friday show.
Can't
So
wait.
I'm gonna make a costume change between the sets too. So just to let you know.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
You're welcome. So I feel like there's that guy Matt Bacon, the cigar guy that I know gets on your nerves because you're a cigar guy. I know. He has this thing that he talks about that every band has a main guy, and
Yeah.
he says like there's someone who's probably writing most of the music, doing all the booking, like managing
You've sent me this
is
video,
essentially
and
the
I do agree
functional
with it.
manager of a band.
Yeah.
And like this was my experience back when I played in We by the Sea. And Murder was a great re-entry into kind of the band scene for me because I took some years off. And you're the main guy in Murder, right? So I show up.
But we've done a good job of like, us,
Yeah.
really helping each other out.
I do more as time's gone on, but it's also like at the end of the day when it comes to like booking gigs and communication and things like that are like management almost. I'm not the main guy in Murder, and I am once again the main guy in Kyle Lewis is a boring name, which makes sense.
It sucks.
So I experienced that in We by the Sea, but we've taken this band a little more seriously and have like a little bit more smarts behind it. So there's like a lot more opportunities, but a lot more headaches as a result of that. So that's been a new challenge. The other thing is that when I started this band, I was listening to a lot of like Jeff Rosenstock and Chris Farron, which is why I went with like the band name having my name in it. I didn't kind of want to be just Kyle Lewis because it's not a very memorable name, and that's where the bit comes in, right? Kyle Lewis is a boring name. It's like it's my name, but it's also memorable that my name is not memorable. Now that I have the band and it's a great group of folks who are all very talented, I have the unique-ish challenge for me at least of like how do we move the branding away from people thinking this as a solo act, but also still not like force them to do a lot of content with me or like I'm probably gonna be the main guy no matter
Gotcha.
what. Like I'm the front
Gotcha.
person, I write a lot of the music, and so it's like trying to find ways to make sure that people kind of understand that like this isn't just a solo project with studio musicians. This is like a band, and it just has my name on it. You know?
Well, like something that's I see out there, some a band that has a similar challenge is
Mhm.
LS Dunes. LS Dunes has a real like we all know who the lead singer is, we all know who the frontman is, all this stuff. But if you go and you watch a lot of the content,
Yeah.
it's clearly curated by Tucker. I believe
Okay.
his name. I think that's right. Drummer. And so it's like, like you've got the guy that is helping create the content and putting the phone or the camera in front of someone's face and then grabbing the one that's more free and not showing in three other bands. Like I feel like you could grab your like partner in crime of social media promotion and then probably not gonna be Tyler.
Yeah. Hey,
you know,
he's very down for things, but yeah, if I told
no,
Tyler, "Hey,
he's
can you
down for
make
things.
me
I
like
love
five
him.
or six
We
TikToks?"
love
and
you, Tyler.
he'd be like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I threw my phone into an ocean and I'm going to the mountains with my parents next year. So I don't think I can make those TikToks."
I've got another family reunion that I'll be gone for. It's on the calendar. I do it every year. Yeah, we
I
know.
want to express some
Yeah,
love for Tyler though,
so
because
much love. My God, the
he
most
drums
solid man.
he drums for both of our bands, and Tyler is not the ideal bandmate in the like will help out with whatever you ask to help out with, but he is the ideal bandmate in the he is easy to work with.
So
He
easy.
never gets in the way of some things. So like I
Mhm.
am not that person in any of my bands and not in Murder, right? Like I have more like
What?
dumb opinions that I'm like, well, I think we should at least argue about this before we decide to move on. And Tyler's like,
Yes.
yeah, it sounds good. Or if he has an opinion, he'd be like, this is kind of what I think, but like, I don't know, go for it.
Whatever the group decides.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
doesn't have no opinion, but like he's like very at peace to kind of like make his opinion or like opt out and just kind of be like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here to do what I'm do and make it the best I can and make it better. And if it, if I don't have anything really to say, I'm gonna not slam the brakes on this.
Tyler Siebert. I'm here to do what I'm due.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he's a wonderful human. We'll kiss him later.
Uh,
All right. What else we got?
Hell yeah. So I want kind of like a medium level overview of how you've gotten to this point as a musician. So I know that don't give me the elevator
Drugs
pitch,
mostly.
but that's so untrue for you. Um,
I know.
so like I know you've been doing murder for like a decade now, um, and I kind of am curious, maybe before murder, like what led you? Because I know you started as a drummer. And then
Mhm.
eventually you transition to playing guitar because guitar is cool or something.
This is crazy. This is so fortuitous of a conversation. I spent all of Sunday taking every single burnt CD that I've ever made and converting it to digital.
Oh,
And it took
cool.
about 6 hours throughout the day to do. And I was evaluating and listening back to things from like 2004. I think is the earliest recording that I've got. It's fucking terrible. All the way, and there are some creative bits in there. I love drumming. I wish I was better at it. I think it's an awesome instrument. And then I got really inspired by Phil Kagi, who I'm crazy about. We got him to guest on our most recent album, Perks of Losing Sleep, and he did 2 solos on it, which were insane. But I just got really excited about lead guitar. I don't want to be a rhythm guitarist. I think it's boring, blah, blah, blah. I know it's really cool to create some riffy stuff with rhythm, but I was like, I don't want that. I want leads. I want leads. I want leads. So started playing lead guitar and eventually realized that you can't play lead guitar by yourself. You have to write some rhythm. So I wrote some rhythm. And then I started writing some songs maybe a year or 2 years before I got married. and then did open mic thing for a long time. I did some instrumental looping stuff at restaurants for 2 years. People don't want you to be loud when they're eating their food. One lesson to be learned. And then I formed my own band with my own name, and I did exactly the thing that you didn't want to do, which is use your own name to be in this band. And it was the CJ Hoodie Band, and we got some attention. And it was fun, and we played some bigger clubs in Cleveland, Ohio, where I grew up, which was great. And then I suddenly realized that it wasn't fulfilling enough, and the clubs were closing, and town was seeming to die. So my wife and I moved down to Georgia, specifically to Athens, because of the music scene, not because we'd heard of REM or anybody else that had been here, all due respect, but it was like we came on a Sunday night and there were like 3 venues open in December and music was playing. And it was awesome. I was like, I'm in heaven. I can just walk downtown and walk into a bar and there's music playing. It's not Nashville. What is this oasis? So once we came here, very quick decision, and then formed a band, joined a band, and then formed Murder the Mood. And I had the name in my head before I even moved to Georgia. I was like, when I left, I was like, this is the name I'm going to use in a project, whatever's next. And then came down here, and Murder the Mood will probably never change for me ever till I die, because it can be whatever iteration musicians. You know, I'm probably going to die first before you, Kyle. But if you were to die first, the name will remain.
Hey, I put you for a loop in late 2021 there.
You did. It was scary. I think we both were, barely hanging on.
Yeah, I guess you almost died that year too. It was a good.
Yeah. So yes, I will forever, Murder the Mood. But no, it's definitely the most healthy, band centric level that it can be right now, and I think the music we're creating is fun, and we got a single. It's gonna be coming out.
Yeah. That maybe helps
within a month's
transition.
time.
Yeah, into this song. So I usually ask someone how like they build a song, but I kind of, I know how songs kind of get written for Murder. But talk about like the writing process for this new one was different than normal. So yeah, tell me about that. How was this one?
Well, we'll start with the typical style, right?
Yeah.
So typically it's I get in my studio with the mic on and an amp and electric guitar, and I go off of a riff or one line of lyric that I'm attached to for whatever reason, the cadence of it or maybe the melody behind it. Very melody driven. And so I'll write the song based off of that. If it needs more fleshing out, oftentimes I'll grab my wife and she'll come, being a lyricist and poet, she'll come and help me finish it. And then I bring it to you guys in practice, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited about this. Check it out, and we'll do a demo or we'll have fun with it. And then I'll write to a click or drum track, and we'll create from there. This time I was like, I'm bored, but I'm trying to rediscover and get re-inspired by writing music. I think the last album took 2 years to write, Perks of Losing Sleep, and it was exhausting and it was hard and it was great and it was rewarding, but I wanted to try something new and that was fresh and got me excited to write music and make lyrics again, because I felt very much in a rut. So my thought was write a really cool riff or two and go into recording software and record that bit with a drum track, and then record another bit on top of that, or in congruence with that, and then continue on until I have a rhythm and riff track of a song, and then throw that on Tyler and say, hey, I have these cool ideas that I threw together and it's in time, but I don't have any lyrics. I don't know which part is the chorus. I don't know any of these moments. Help me find the moments. And Tyler has helped me. All true love to you, but Tyler and I have written together for years, it's always been
such a
together.
Good writing partner. Yeah.
He's great. He's like a sounding board that has creative talent and taste to feel music, and it's incredible. So he came in and he did a wonderful job playing drums over the track, and then I realized I recorded it in mono. We had no stereo drums.
Nice.
And he'd done this wonderful job, and I had to call him and I had to be like, I'm so sorry. The drum track was great, but it's in mono. Come back. and let's record it in stereo. He came back and he made it better.
Yeah.
He's so good about that. It wasn't
He's great.
his only take.
He's an incredible player. And yeah, I mean, I grew up writing with him too, and it's like so often I'd bring him a guitar part when I played back with him in We By the Sea, and I'd say, I don't know how this transition works. Can we just figure that out? Like, I like this. This is where it's going. I just don't know how we get there, you know? And we would just go and talk through, and yeah, you know, he's so good at just being like, takes whatever you've got and just says, how can we get the energy flow, the sort of, you know, like the vibes to be good.
And he always does it in such an unassuming way where it's like, I mean, what about this? And then he doesn't talk like that, but what about this? And then it's like, oh my God, thank you. Yes. What do you mean? Oh, that was your attempt? Sounds like you had this figured out and maybe it is. Maybe he's just unassuming.
Tyler does a great job of making you feel like you did it all on your own, even though he's definitely pulling the strings, or at least helping way more than
for sure.
You leave, you're like, oh yeah, we really figured that out. You know, I had some good ideas, and like,
no.
Oh wait, he had a lot of good ideas.
Yeah. But yeah, so once we did that, I still had not written the lyrics.
Right.
And then I had you come in. I think you came in before lyrics, yeah?
Yeah, this is the first Murder song. That was what was different for me, is that like normally almost everything is done with the track before I record bass, just from a practicality sake.
Yeah, you're one of the last people in.
Because you usually are like, oh, like you're already tinkering on it and you have time and you're just like, yeah, I want to work on this. So honestly, a lot of times when we were recording Perks of Losing Sleep, right? Like a lot of the stuff I would take where the track was, and no matter how much I like loved or didn't love the track, I'd say, well, what would I push it to be this way or whatever, you know? And so, like, for example, I know I was pushing for State of Emergency to be faster. I think actually the tempo it sits at is great now, but I was thinking, well, I got to play in a way that makes it sound like it's really sprinting, you know? Or I think it's Nowhere to Go. Like when I first heard that song, I wasn't in love with it because it felt just a little one dimensional, and I added that kind of like hip hop bass line almost. I was just trying to like be fake Polyphia, you know? And thinking like, okay, if I can do that, then like maybe we have a little bit more of like, it's got something extra zhuzh, you know? And so a lot of times I just take the track and I'm like, I don't want to get in the way of what Murder the Mood is, and I don't want to get in the way of the song you've got. But sometimes like without doing that, I try to like use the creative part of my bass playing to be like, well, if I was going to push the song in a direction, like how can I push my part in a way that pushes it as much as I would want it to go without like, you know, trying to ask for structural rewrites or make things like weird or not really the vision. And that's like, it wasn't a unique problem for me in Murder because like my prior band, I was the main guy and I wrote the songs. So you can have control over everything, you know? And so yeah, it was cool to kind of be like, I gotta be myself, but also stay in my lane and have an influence, but also have the influence make sense for the band.
Sure.
And so it was interesting to me, like I kind of got to do the same thing on this track, but it was almost different because like I wasn't just the final bit, you know? And so there was this like vocal rhythm that I wanted, and I didn't pitch to you, but I'm like, I'm going to put it in the bass, and then I'm going to like chirp it a little bit at practice sometimes. And you didn't take that vocal rhythm, which I'm very fine with, but like I put it in the bass line because I was like, well, if he takes it for the vocals, they'll be doubled. And if he doesn't, then that thing I'm hearing is at least in the track.
In fairness, I did try it.
Yeah, and
I did
sometimes
try
it doesn't work.
It couldn't click with my voice, but I did try it. I was like, 100%. I listened to it. I was like, I can try this. Nope, not working.
Yeah, it sometimes it just doesn't do it. So yeah, I think that was what was interesting to me about this one, and maybe from a listener's perspective, it sounds like we're doing the exact same thing with, you know, like this is cake A, and it's like a beautiful cake, and they're like, and cake B is entirely different, and it's got like 3 different accoutrements on the top, and they're like, well, it's buttercream instead of, you know, whatever icing.
At the end of the day, another track's coming out.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like another track was going to come out of my head. And so I don't really care if it sounds exactly like I mean, I've had people in here in the studio and we've listened to it. They're like, oh, sounds like Murder. And I'm like, cool.
Yep.
But the experience, the catharsis and the experience that we three had in making the song means more to me than almost any other song. Means more to me than any other song we've done because it was created in a cohesive, 3 equal parts way.
Yeah.
We've never done that before.
No.
And to do that means more than Perks of Losing Sleep as a whole album to me.
Strong words. So
I know.
I like the track
It
a
does.
lot. I think it's
good.
It's crazy because I thought, and maybe we can talk some of that about that. I'm getting off of what my normal questions are, but
Oh, God forbid.
I know, off the rails. ADHD engaged. So this song lyrically that's going to come out, it's very much about that kind of like creative ennui, like the dread of like, what if I can't write any more songs? And God, I feel like every musician I know, and as long as I can remember writing music, there's always this fear of like, well, what if I don't have another one, you know? Like, what if I don't have any other more good ideas? And actually, it's funny. So the Kyle Loses a Boring Name album ends with a track that is like this. It's like this personification of being in love with the muse as like a partner that's not fully committed to you either. And it's kind of like this idea. It's called The Last
I've
Song.
always been committed to you, and it still hurts that you wrote that song about me.
I know. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's about like the muse and this idea that like one day the muse will stop. It'll give you the last one. What's the last song? When is that one? You know? And it kind of also like personified from like a relationship of like, hey, this relationship's like an on and off again, or, you know, that's kind of how I think sometimes it feels creatively. So I guess, can you talk some about that? Like, creative anxiety, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk honestly about it, and I don't know if like 3 people are going to listen to this or like.
Well, Dan
10?
will put it on while he's working.
My grandmother will definitely watch this.
Oh, of course.
But you know,
what do you call your grandmother again? Is it Gaga?
Yeah. Greek for grandmother.
Hello, yeah.
Hello, yeah. No, so I have not been creatively inspired all year. Yeah. We've played the least amount of murder shows all year.
Since I started playing in the band. Yeah.
And I just have been investing my time in the wrong areas, in work and in stresses, financial and life. Just investing in the wrong areas of life, not in the good, lovely areas of, oh my God, I'm looking at rainbow parts of life. So I wasn't able to write. I didn't feel like anything was coming. I was just playing our songs that we'd already written. And truthfully, to me, those songs had been written a year and a half ago. Like they're present for people because it came out.
That's just being a musician, baby. Everything takes so long.
For sure. But it's like, you know, I hadn't written anything. And there's this line in the song about, you know, I haven't written any good lyrics in over 2 years. And I started going to therapy. And I started realizing that, oh my God, I'm in a rut. I'm a little broken. I don't feel inspired. I don't feel joyful. I feel methodical, which is not a great place to be in for the arts. Doesn't work.
100%.
It doesn't work. And I was like in my vocal booth, and I was so fucking frustrated. I was kind of tearing up a little bit, and I was just angry, more angry tears of like, it's not working. Why am I not able to put out anything? Why is nothing just oozing out of me like it has in all these years past? I've been playing music since I was 14 years old, and there's never been an issue of music coming out of my soul. And then I just started it was, you know, it wasn't this great cathartic moment. I had like 2 lines. I wrote 2 lines about why won't the music come out and why. And usually when I write lyrics, I spitball. I play the track over and over, and I just sing sounds. Sometimes I sing, you know, the occasional lyric. I make up stuff. It's not grammatically correct. And it just started there, and it started to develop. And then I left it. I wrote a verse. I felt good about the verse. And I came back and I wrote the chorus, and I felt good about the chorus. It's very simple. It's not.
Hell yeah. Sorry, we got cut off by Zoom, which reminded me so much of, there was a moment in rehearsal maybe about like a month and a half ago that was simultaneously very funny, and I also regret, is you were opening up and talking more about your honest, true feelings about having gone to therapy. talking to Tyler and I about it, and then we were like playing some dumb joke. I don't even remember what it was. We've got shithead energy at practices often. Me and
Oh
Tyler.
my.
If it helps, Tyler and I are equally annoying at Kyle Lewis is a boring name rehearsal.
It does help. I actually feel better.
This Zoom meeting actually, honestly, like if it cutting you off in the middle of this kind of like poignant discussion about your mental health, like just made me laugh because I'm like, oh yeah, it's just exactly like that conversation we had.
It was. I think I got really pissed off too. I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
I can't
Let's
tell.
just play the song.
I can never tell if you're like genuinely pissed or just like kind of frustrated. So if you were genuinely upset at me, I'm deeply sorry. But so yeah, you were talking about
most of me being upset. Yeah,
you're talking about like creative anxiety.
I swear to God.
Wait, what?
I swear to God. Do we have a delay?
Maybe check. All right.
Okay, cool.
Wait. Wiggle our heads together. That's how we know.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
To get this interview less off the rails, so I want to know what's kind of a weird. Every songwriter has something they really care about, and I think that doesn't always directly communicate. Like there's some things that you could kind of communicate and sell, like our live performance having high energy and being like real like rock and roll, Yeah. It's something that's like easy as a narrative to sell to people and say, come out to our show because it's got this, like with Kyle Lewis is a boring name. I lay on the whole like, hey, we're like a theatrical band. We're fun. We're playful. That's like, what we do. Because I'm trying to get people to get an idea like what their experience is like. But there's always different stuff that as a songwriter really matters to you, but someone else might not notice. You put a lot of attention into that. So when you're writing a song, what gets you like thrilled of like, you finish working out in the studio, then you go down and, before you pop on some TV with Joy, you're like, oh my God, I wrote this thing and it's so cool,
That happens all the time. Well, it used to before the writer's block. I wish I could just like grab Joy and be like, what stupid thing do I come downstairs and get excited about? She'd be like, I don't hear it. I get incredibly excited about melody. Melody matters to me in a song more than any other facet.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no melody, there's no heart. If there's no melody, there's no soul. If there's no melody, there's no me. And so if I don't get excited about the turn and the melody of a song, like I'll take songs to my wife and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with this song, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, cool, but there's not much to it. I was like, yeah, but the melody, does it make you feel something? And she's like, no. I'm like, okay, well, just me then. I have more emotional depth than you. But I want to create a song that I feel connection and excitement over. And I hope it translates. I hope like somebody listens. Like we don't have a lot of followers. We don't have a lot of people to listen to us, but whatever people do, I just hope that there's some songs they just feel such connection to.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to spend more time always working towards that pinnacle of songs with melody that makes people feel something.
Yeah.
And like even in this song that we just did, there's just some moments in it, whether it's there's that part where you and I are singing in unison and we're both dropping our voice into a lower register, and it's smoothly done and our voices sound great together. I love that. I feel something in that moment. And then there's this part where we have some claps that come in this song. I've always wanted to have claps in a song.
Yeah, I totally stole that and put it in our new one too because I liked it so much. You did it. I'm like, I got claps now. I'll show you the new track when I see you on Friday.
I was gonna say, now we've talked about each other's track. You know mine, ours. Yeah. I want to hear yours.
When I see you tomorrow, Thursday. When I see you Thursday, I'll show you the new track. We got the mix back.
I'm looking forward. But yeah, so there's this moment where we have these claps kick in, and it's just like you and I singing in unison, and you've got a little harmony in there in the middle that stands out. That's wonderful. But lyrics and the way that they're shaped is important to me, but I am always more obsessed with the melody than I am with the lyrics. And I don't even feel like that. Like, there's some wonderful lyricists out there. Just, I mean, gorgeous, incredibly deep and poignant music, or vulnerable music, or, you know, just bearing your soul. But if it doesn't have the melody to get me, I don't feel the kinship to it.
Yeah.
And I can't help it. I'm like,
I'm with you there.
I'll take an 80s pop song over your heartfelt,
Yeah.
you know, expression of your soul any day. So
There's some of those like OG
Yeah.
emo heroes too that are in that vibe. Like I think it's like Jawbreaker.
Okay.
So like, you know, the lyrics are there, or is it Jawbreaker or Jawbox? I always get them confused. But
yeah.
or like I feel that way about like Death Cab. Like I like some
Yes.
Death Cab songs, but like in
Yes.
general, like there's not a lot of songs they write that have like the hook, you know, or a hook.
It's a soul meets body, and what else?
It's funny because so I have this background, as you know, in like avant-garde classical music, and when
Yeah.
someone starts talking about melody in a lot of those contexts, like a lot of the avant-garde folks like roll their eyes, or like
Roll their eyes.
there's more things to
I get
music than the.
I get it. I totally do.
But
I want the
what I would
sex
say
without
is,
the foreplay. I don't know what to say.
that's right. But what I would say is that, like, God, I do not chase down an idea I have unless it has a hook, you know? And so it's funny because, like, when it comes to this sort of thing, it's like, if the melody isn't memorable, it's not worth, it doesn't get me excited. Like, the melody is like, it's gotta stick, because if it doesn't, the song doesn't work at all to me. But
No.
it's not like the nerdy weird thing that I'm like, hey, I know you're not really listening to this, but like I've got this part here and it does this thing. Anyways, so yeah, it's interesting to hear.
Yeah.
I agree with you so hard, especially in this like genre of music, but I don't have the same emotional attachment to it, even though I have the same like value attachment, which is interesting, and that's
Yeah.
cool to know.
Yeah.
So I mean, and maybe a shorter question here. What's something that like some people really care about in music, and you're just like, like if that happens or doesn't happen, it's whatever, you know?
That's a good question, Kyle.
I know.
Man,
It's the
you
toughest
saving
and the
that one
last
for
of the
last?
tough ones.
I knew I was going to say you say that one for last.
Yeah.
So what is something that other musicians really care about in their music creation that I don't?
Yeah, so let me give some clarification. So for an example, for me, and you'll know this from my playing, I try to record things rhythmically tight because I feel like I need to, but like it doesn't get me excited at all. I don't care, and like to me, the thing that I love more than anything else is like how parts layer together, or like the creative, like almost like a compositional aspect. And so having a track like hyper polished in a lot of ways isn't like my biggest point of excitement. I've kind of, as a musician, have started to care about that more, because like you want other people to see the vision the way you do, and you have to give them a really clear picture. But I think of like recording a track with like when I go to record with like my click on 500,000 decibels, so I can like make sure I hit on beats. That's like a hassle more than like a labor of love, you know? So what's like maybe something that, you know, like, or like something that you maybe don't care about? Because like, for example, I don't really like super tight vocal processing. I know you're gonna be shocked hearing that, considering, you know, what I know. But like if I hear like a glistening reverb on a vocal, I like roll my eyes. I'm like, get out of here, you know?
Okay. You're talking processing in effects, not perfection of notes and tone.
Yeah, no. I want a good vocal performance, but
I was like, there's no fucking way. Okay, got it.
No. The performance has to be spot on. But the when I think about like the post chain on vocals, I like to tell our mix engineer, I'm like, pretty dry. Just get it to sit in the mix, but not, you know, like if it sounds like there's a lot of stuff on it. Like our new track is probably the most that I'm comfortable with, and I'm like, the band loves it, and they talk me into it.
I think, and this is such a juvenile thing to think. Just to go off I will answer your question.
Yes.
But to go off of what you're talking about the sheen, the glisten, I think like when I was younger, and I've been home recording since I was 15 years old. I love it. I won't ever do anything else.
So you've been home recording for a solid 5 years now, CJ.
It's only been 19 years. Catherine Hepburn joined the chat. So I think that I used reverb and effects, and having just listened to the catalog. And here's the thing: there's only so much that I'm willing to release in my own hubris to show people. But I'm telling you, I have boxes and boxes of songs and demos and versions before they. I have like 3 versions of songs before they release, and all these things because I'm a perfectionist, which is a big problem. Still working on it, work in progress. But I noticed the early stuff used so much effects in excess. Whereas like now I'm like, I want as dry and as using as much either room sound or dry sound as I can naturally find with the room or the mic without putting anything on in post to clean it up or smooth it out. And then I will use my vocal talent to deliver the performance I'm looking for before I put something on it.
Yeah.
So now to answer your question, there's 2 things that really I don't give a rat's ass about. Number 1, I don't care about 3 things. I don't care about vocal tuning because I think there is beauty in imperfection. I'm not a perfect vocalist. I don't aspire to be. I aspire to connect with the individual. I'm also not really into click tracks, mostly because I don't have the ability to hold to a click track. I get lost every time. And so I end up using, secret tip, I use a drum track. I use the same drum track at different beats and things like that. Yeah, because it connects with me and I can write over it. So I use a drum track rather than the click track.
If you have trouble playing to a click, like playing to a drum loop is at least a good way of like getting I would say this is like a good tip for just like starter musicians too. Like I'm not meaning to say you are one of the best lead guitarists I know. But what I'd say is when I started learning how to play the lead guitar, I aspired to write solos that I thought would make you smile. I don't know if that's a good way. I've got a new one too that I'm really excited to show you.
We need to spend some time together on Thursday. Jeez.
Yeah. So I think it's a great tip for starting musicians too. Like because when I first started playing, God, I could not play in time, which is surprising to no one. And questionably, if I still can play in time. I'm at least showing up in the right spots.
You're a rival. You're like a wizard. You arrive exactly when you mean to.
Exactly when I mean to, with attitude, panache.
With a panache, yeah.
But I would say that if like you struggle to like go and put a metronome on, but you still don't want to just like practice and never practice with the timing thing and stuff like that. Like if you struggle with the metronome, you struggle with the click track, go YouTube like drum beats in your BPM range that you're looking at and just kind of practice with that. It's a great way to start getting a better sense of timing. That's how I really learned to play in time. I did that with the analog version. I played some songs for years, and then I started playing with Tyler as a middle schooler in my parents' garage. And he was like, I cannot follow you. And I'm like, okay, I got to like listen to the drums. So they're like trying to play these shitty thrash metal songs. I wrote like, listen to the drums, listen so hard.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I actually use the drum. I haven't done it as much, but I've used the drum machine to write as well.
Yeah.
Because I can just keep writing in time and keep messing with it and have some beat that drives me. Writing songs acoustically is fun and all, but when you're in a alt rock semi screamo band, it doesn't translate super great. So, yeah. And then the last thing I think that I was going to mention is like, I feel the things that I care about in music are being unique from someone else yes, there's music that inspires me, but a lot of musicians like even me with like My Chem. I love My Chem. I don't want to write a My Chem song.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me. To be like, this could have made it on the Black Parade. This could have made it on,
It'd be hard to do, but yeah, I'm with you. It's like,
yes, nor do I have the talent to actually do that. Thank you, Kyle. But no, like I felt like I noticed when I went through the catalog of my demos and bullshit, I could tell what I was listening to when I wrote it.
yeah,
That's fine. But I have zero desire to write a song that would have made it on someone's album, or that, Say Anything would have been like, throw this on. This one was written by, Kyle Lewis, CJ Hody. I don't have that desire because I truly do want to be my own musician, my own self. And that's why, like, we've got some stuff on this new song that is unusual and weird choices.
yeah.
They're not traditional choices. Fan-fucking-tastic. Let's go with that and not be like someone else. So
Yeah, that's a great response. It's funny that I mentioned the translation error thing because I think so much of the time I write stuff that I think will, especially when I was younger, but still now, that it's like, hey, I want to get kind of in the same vibe as this. And write a track that's got this kind of feel, but like I don't go and try to listen to the vibe I'm copying and then like really try to like take a lot of its bones.
Mimic
I'm more
it.
trying to think, how does that make me feel? What's that kind of energy like? What's the general aesthetic?
Yeah.
And then it kind of like the
Yeah.
translation error leads to it to kind of feel much less like the original, more like my thing.
well, you're filtering it. You're taking inspiration, you're filtering it through your lens, and then creating something that is irrevocably yours.
Right. And so like we have a new one that we're finishing up the demo for right now. And like I said, like when I first started playing it for the band, like our other guitarist, David, he's like, this is a Cheek Face track. Cause he and I both love Cheek Face. And then the chorus hits and our bassist is like, I don't really know Cheek Face, but this chord progression and this melody, this is a Motion City soundtrack song. The chorus is Motion City soundtrack chorus. And then I've got, of course, unnecessary left turns and weird bullshit per
Shocking.
my brand. In the rest of the moment of the song, there's like a cool, like double guitar thirds lead that's like, straight up for me, like loving like old power metal and like new wave of British heavy metal. Like I want to hear like guitars playing together in thirds, thinking about them standing back to back. It's like I went and saw this that metal band Beast Mode from Athens. They had some like guitar solos in thirds, and I'm like, I have to do this. I love this so much. Why am I not doing this? Who's stopping me?
No one.
And then the's got like this like pop punk chicken picking hoedown thing that I was like trying to write a thrash riff, but something that fit for the song, and I was like, it's never gonna be a thrash riff. And it's like technique wise feels like the Anti-Flag double, but like then the note choice with it being as like bright and cheery, I'm like, this almost sounds like chicken picking, but there's no open strings, so it's not. Anyways,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one. And so I love that kind of idea of like translation error can kind of lead to doing your own sort of weird new thing. And I've really loved doing that my whole career. So, all right, I got no more hard questions for you, just two short ones. What is your ideal post-show meal?
Oh, I thought you said there were no more hard questions.
No, this shouldn't be hard. Well, and this is maybe harder for you because food's more contentious for CJ.
Yeah, in an ideal world, I often find we get done with shows and doing other things that I don't have. It's so late, I can't go get the food that I really want to eat, and so I end up sacrificing that.
So we're playing on Friday on 10/4. We open, so you get to eat whatever you want. You're gonna open. You're gonna watch. You're gonna watch me costume change and then play another set. And then what are you
I'm gonna
getting?
Promptly leave.
And then, poor Nix.
Poor Nix.
They're such good friends of ours.
I will tell you what I actually eat post show is I get home because everything's closed, and I end up making a super thick lunch meat sandwich with very thick cheddar cheese.
You do.
And mayo.
Oh my God. When you've made me a sandwich, it's incredible.
So
but like you take a slice of cheese like that thick. It's
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
imagine stacking four
Thick.
craft singles on top of each other, and it's like just like a brick of white cheddar.
It is. It is. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's terrible.
I love it.
I'm doing like weight loss challenge with a couple of my running buddies right now, and I'm like, I haven't had a good lunch meat sandwich in ages.
Oh,
But
my heart
yes,
breaks
I'll
for
do.
you.
Thank you. I'll do that with a glass of chocolate milk. I will just go to sleep and just know my morning is gonna suck because my morning's like 5 hours later, 4 hours later. That's my post show. What's yours?
Post show. So when I play or see a gig in Atlanta, my favorite thing to do is to go get Fellini's.
Yo, yeah.
And so in my brain, I always want to get pizza after a show. That being said, Little Italy, obviously, pizza. I know you're not a big fan. I like Little Italy's pizza, but man, it is very hard after going and playing a show and dressed as dumb as I dress to play shows. And then I go stand in the line at Little Italy, and it's like,
Yeah.
the drunkest person you've ever met is in front of you. The drunkest person you've ever met is behind you. They both want to be your friend, and they both want to fight each other and like try to pull you on their side. I'm like, I don't even want to talk to you guys right now.
And let me hold on, because this is an Athens, podcast moment. Let me be very clear. When I roll my eyes and I shake my head about Little Italy, I really enjoy Little Italy sandwiches. Are the fucking best. Oh my God.
But you're not like a New York pizza slice guy, so like it's not your style of pizza.
I'm not. It's more of the vibe at 2 a.m. The 2 a.m. vibe is really not me.
That's what I'm saying.
Tired,
It's like
I'm frustrated. I'm a very angsty person. I have a furrowed brow for a reason. That environment and CJ do not mix. I just look like I want to piss on someone. So I love Little Italy. The vibe at 1:30 in the morning, not a me thing.
Terrible.
I should have gone home. I should have gone to bed. I should have gotten my sandwich to go. That's not a you problem, Little Italy.
They should have
That's
a
me problem.
non-drunk window. They should have like a sober window of like, hey,
I
you
would
could
kill
only
that.
come up to this window if you're not slammed.
Oh my God. Yeah, we'll have an alcohol test.
They
a
breathalyze you, and if you
before.
pass, you can go to the to-go window.
It would be, those vehicles you get into where you have to breathe for the truck to start?
Yep.
It would be the window would open if you breathed into it and you were not inebriated.
I would love this so much.
This is my dream.
Literally,
you don't drink as I'm drinking now. We could do this.
It would be perfect.
Joe Nights. Let's do it.
So, the last question I've got for you is obviously community is super important for local bands. So who's a band in your scene that you think people should check out? You cannot say me, and obviously you can't say Murder, even though I'm in both, and you're in one.
There's a band that is coming up that I just feel has gotten me more excited than I thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people in that band that mean the world to me. And I think they've just gotten to a point where they're finding their stride and they're figuring it out. And I love being along for the ride. Here Be Monsters as a full band vibe is just warming my heart. And I love Taylor as a person. I love acoustic Taylor, but just seeing them perform those songs in a band setting is speaking to me. Yeah. And I think everybody should go and listen. And there's a band right there, going back to a full circle of our conversation of a studio versus a live version. Here Be Monsters live version is taking a turn that is well worth your time.
I couldn't agree more. Two hearty, full-throated, screaming from the top of your folk punk acoustic set, no PA bedroom. You should listen to Here Be Monsters. You should go see them live here in Athens.
Yeah.
They're great friends and great musicians. So
they're great in bed.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, CJ, I guess has some tell-all stories for when the memoir comes out.
Next podcast.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me.
All right. Love you, dude.
Love you too. And I will talk to you. I'll see you in a couple of days, and then we'll play a show on Friday.
I'm salivating. Bye.
Bye.